Hello Star Wars fans, and welcome to episode 82 of Journey into Legends. Today we'll be continuing the New Jedi Order series with Agents of Chaos 2, Jedi Eclipse by James Luceno. Jedi Eclipse was released in 2000, and it is the fifth book in the New Jedi Order series, and the second and final book of James Luceno's Agents of Chaos duology. Although the previous book was my least favorite of the series so far, I think it introduced a lot of really interesting ideas and concepts that hopefully get expanded upon in this book. Either way, I'm really excited to get into this, so without further ado, let's read and review. One of the major plot lines in this book is the various groups of refugees that get captured by the Vong or shuttled around from planet to planet. Overall, I don't think the refugee plotlines were very interesting in concept. However, there were some really cool aspects to these storylines. There was the Battle of Gindeen, which was super gritty and introduced the really awesome fire breathers, as well as Worth Skitter's surrender, followed by the extremely disturbing Yamask stuff aboard the Yuuzhan Vong cluster ship. There's also the droid uprising on Ruan, as well as a BLX droid that Han thinks could be Bollux from the Brian Daly books, although it's never confirmed, but I prefer to believe it is. There was also a group of Yuuzhan Vong sympathizers on Tholatin that con and kidnap refugees and shuttle them to planets to be recaptured by the Yuuzhan Vong, a really evil, but nonetheless really interesting concept. So although I think the refugee stuff was pretty bland overall, there was a lot of little side plots happening adjacent that I found a lot of fun. Another side plot in this book involves Leia and Tenel Ka visiting the Hapes Consortium to recruit them for the war. It was cool to see the Hapans again, specifically a soldier who has a really fun honor duel against a political rival. Honestly, my main gripe with this plotline, however, was that Tenel Ka did practically nothing, which was really disappointing. Tenel Ka is a great character, and she contributed absolutely nothing to this plotline. From a narrative perspective, there was literally no reason to include her in this plotline, besides that she's half Hapan. Definitely the weakest aspect of this book, and one that completely dragged it down for me, was the heavy focus on the Hutts and their alliance with the Vong. To be more specific, a big plotline in this book is the site of the Vong's next attack, with the New Republic attempting to bait the Vong into attacking Corellia so they can unleash Centerpoint Station. However, the Vong's next target the whole time was Fondor, catching the New Republic completely off guard. The reason I think this plotline dragged the book down was that there was so much focus put on the Hutts supplying the New Republic with intel, and so much debating on who and what intel to trust, which planets to defend, where to allocate ships, and just so much of the same conversation again and again. Fortunately, I really loved the conclusion of this book, with the Vong attacking Fondor, and the moment when Thrakensal solo fires Centerpoint Station and completely decimates both fleets at Fondor was extremely cinematic. But until then, the plotline moved at a glacial pace, and made the book feel very slow and uneventful. So overall, this was definitely my least favorite New Jedi Order book yet. While I appreciated the last book's smaller and more personal scale, this one expanded that scale, but the book was just too uneventful to feel like it. There were definitely moments and ideas that I liked, but nothing that stood out as truly epic or memorable compared to the other books in the series. Anyways, moving on to Star Wars Tales, issue number 7, we have 5 stories this time around, beginning with Single Cell, which follows a pirate named Nim, as from the comfort of a Trade Federation cell, he tells the story of his capture, which is basically just a weapons deal gone wrong. The story begins with Nim's partners arriving to break him out of his cell, Overall, this was a decent story with some fun action and good art, but nothing too special. The characters were pretty forgettable, but it was fun nonetheless. Next, we have Nerf Herder, which follows a Nerf Herder on Tatooine named Domo Jones. While him and a friend are sitting in a cantina, they overhear a criminal named Gart dealing with an Imperial. Domo ends up thwarting the deal and even gets to kiss a Twi'lek. Overall, this one was fine. I can't really tell if it was meant to be another dumb, comedic story, but since it's definitely serious enough to be canon, I didn't really mind it. Our next story is called Jedi Chef, which follows Jedi Council members Plo Koon and Micah Giet as they travel to Ord Mantell to rescue a renowned chef from a hut. In order to rescue his friend, Micah has a cook-off with the hut's personal cooking droid, and to ensure Micah's victory, Plo helps him switch out the droid's ingredients. Overall, this one was another decent story, a little comedic in nature, but with some tweaks, it could definitely be canon. The next story we have is called Outbid but Never Outgunned, which follows Boba Fett as he goes after a certain item in the possession of a man named Piztoff. Also hunting the item owned by Piztoff is a woman named Sintaz. Anyways, the item ends up being a hologram of Boba and Sintaz with a baby, confirmation that Boba has a family. Overall, this one wasn't anything too special, but I love that Boba has a family, something that I'd really like to see more of in the future. And our final story is called Force Fiction, which follows Yoda and Mace Windu as they're seated in a cafe discussing Anakin's future when the cafe is robbed. The whole thing is comedic and non-canon, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be an homage to Pulp Fiction, which is pretty funny. But overall, it's a pretty average story. Anyways, this was a pretty good issue of Tales. Although there were no absolutely fantastic stories, I enjoyed all 5 of them in their own way, making this one of the most consistent issues so far. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And stay tuned for my next video where I'll be reviewing Book 6 of the new Jedi Order series, Balance Point. See ya.